So we'll start on a brew box. It's just a basic flat pack kit from Thorns. I think it's probably the most popular place everybody gets them from, but a national deep box is a national deep box. The theyre will go exactly the same for a shallow or a super. Exactly the same, it's just slightly deeper or slightly shallower. So what comes with it? You get your 4 battens. So talk about them in a sec. You'll get a front, 2 sides. I've put these runners on already just to save a bit of camera time, and then you get another back. These are all the same. As you can see, they're sort of routed out for the size to sit into, so it doesn't matter which way they are. Sometimes these don't come with runners, and you might find these are chamfered on one edge, if you like. If they're slightly chamfered and you don't come with runners, then that's where your frames will sit, so they'll sit to the top. But in this case, it's just a budget Thorns kit. It comes with the runners separately. These are the runners there, just off another brew box that I've got. And you just sort of tack them on to the top there. I've just tacked in 3 places, and all you do is just make sure you get it even either end. So you've got room to slide it into these panels here. So right, what I tend to do, just give myself a bit of space. I will put the battens on first. So we'll just quickly talk about the battens. So you've got 2 of each. So we've got 1, 2, right. So these 2 are the same. You can see the profile. So the flat at the bottom. So I sort of remember them as the handles. So they go at the top of the brew box on the outside, and your frames will sort of sit in between. And then your other 2 have a slight chamfer on, which I remember it as these are the bottom ones, because if water gets on your box, it sort of drains away from the box. So they will sit in the box like that, and the water will just sort of drain away. That's how I remember it. So what I usually do, sometimes you get the splinters and bits and pieces like that, you just get them out of your way. You can sort of glue them on. It sort of does extend the life a little bit. It sort of seals the joints a little bit. So I'll quickly try and put some glue on. So I'll tend to build up, put the battens on first. What I might do some shots of this, and we'll come back with the battens on. I haven't decided yet. So I'll flip that on there. What you can do, you can get sort of wood glues that are obviously brush on. I've just got this stuff, it's just on screw fix, and it's just sort of like a PU glue. So it will dry quite hard, and it just acts as a seal, because water will get in between the joints and the wood will rot from like inside out as such, so from the inside of the joints outwards. And we all know how much stuff costs now. So I've got those 2 in. You can see that's the top one, so I've got the flat edge there, this inner edge there, and this again is the other side of it, if you like. Put a bit of glue on there, bit of glue on there. It does get a little bit messy with this glue, but we'll try and make sure it's a half decent video. And then just a last batten, put a bit on there. Like I say, it just helps seal it on there like that. So you can always have a bit of rag, especially if you're gluing. Just makes life a little bit easier. You can just wipe off any excess while it's not quite dry yet. This stuff sort of dries a bit like plastic, so that will do. Right, what you can do now, you can put your top on. So what I'll do with this now, I'll probably just put a bit of glue in there, in there. Right, so we've got that glued up, and what you can do, you can just sort of line it up. There's no sort of right or wrong way. You can be that way or that way. It's absolutely fine. And this is where you're going to make a little bit of noise, just sort of line it up gently. I've got a little soft mallet, but you can use a hammer. It's completely up to you guys what you have. You know, just obviously don't whack it with like a sledgehammer, otherwise you will bust it. So just line it up. So not quite all the way down, because I'm going to try and get these sides in now and flick them that way. So again, with the glue, I'm going to run a bead down there, and then down there. It's just all for giving it that little bit more extra life. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do down the side buttons as well, because obviously the broods are out all year round, and the rain will obviously come down the brood box and it'll try and get into cracks and crevices. So if you can sort of potentially reduce that when you're building it up, it's just, the stuff's just going to last so much longer. So run a bead of glue down there, bead of glue down there. I've already run the beads of glue up there. So this is your top with this little cut out there, and obviously the flat bottoms, and these are the slopey ones here. So obviously you want your runner for your panels to run this side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of get that in there. I sort of line it up with a back batten. I'll do a little bit of a close-up of what I mean there, but I'll just crack on, because this glue does go off, and what I'm doing now is just lining this inner panel up with the routed bit in the edge. So that's about there. And same with this side, just run that into there, roughly level off with that batten. Oops. And again, just line it up with that. It's a lot of bang, 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 bang. Apologise if it comes across on the video a bit too much, but effectively that is your box. So what I do now, I'll just maybe wipe any excess glue off while it's still sort of easy to wipe, because it does get a little bit plasticky. I'll just flip that to the floor like that. Obviously on my ramp, we're in my workshop, by the way, if you just wondered where I am, this is actually my workshop. So yeah, I'm on my ramp at the minute, so I know my ramp's flat. I'll get a frame, and I'll just sit the frame in there. So the frame wants to be just a little bit under the edge. Now we'll do some close-ups of this as well, but you can just, this one is just a little bit high. This one, this side, very high. What I tend to do, the sides run roughly level with the battens. Again, I'll get some close-ups to make sense of that. I'll just drop that down a bit more. Drop that down a bit more. And it's just this little tweaking could save you a lot of hassle in the future, because if it's not quite right, bees will just start building how bees want to build, and sometimes that's a bit of a pain, as I'm sure we've all found out. So I'll pop that back down there. Right, so now effectively we do have a box. We've tested for the frame space, and all I'm going to do now, I'm going to put some nails in. Thorne's little packs of nails. I say little packs, there's loads of nails in the Thorne's brood box assembly, so loads. Let me know in the comments if anybody's actually used every single nail out of the Thorne's kit to do a box. I'll be intrigued, because I can't. It's just yeah, far too many for my liking. But I put enough in to make sure it's right, and the glue does obviously help as a secondary. So I'm not going to film just me banging away. I'll do sort of clips of where I put the nails and stuff like that. So I'll tend to start with the battens first and do the sides last, because if I need to do a final adjustment, I can still move the inner sides, if you know what I mean. So put 4 in each corner. Went through a knot there. Minor knots if you can. Hammered the battens in, so they've got a single pin on each end of the batten. The sides are still detached, if you like. Just checking the footage there, and the camera went flat, just as I was explaining. You just get your frame just before you nail it up. I know we've got nails in this box now, but obviously I finished the box thinking that we were still filming, but we weren't. So put your frame in before you put your nails on, and you just sort of double check your height of your frame on your runners, so they're not too proud, so they're not above the box level if it's such. So you just go front and back. Any sort of little adjustments, just give them a tap with a hammer. Tap it down if you need to tap it down, just tap it up if you need to tap it up until you're happy. Once you've done that, and then you can put your pins in for your sides. Then what I tend to do, I'll put 3 in there, so I've got 1, 2, 3. On the supers I tend to put 2. The supers also, I tend to put the a pin just in this lug here to support the top bar, because obviously if you think all your weight's going through these little lugs here, that's going to be the weak spot of the boxes, and we all know how heavy supers can get. So sometimes just reinforcing those corners there and there with a pin is probably quite a good idea. So apart from that, we are pretty much done. The box is built, happy with the height. So yeah, plenty more to do. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye.